Right, here we are again to talk about another method and how we can estimate the PMI, that post-mortem interval, and that is by looking at Algor Mortis. So, Algor Mortis refers to the coldness of death, because basically what's going to happen is when a person dies, uh, body's no longer going to generate warmth, and it's going to slowly cool down to eventually match the temperature of its surroundings. And enough studies have been done to that we know that there's a relatively consistent cooling rate between different people. Now, obviously, the outside or external temperature can have an effect on this rate, but for the most part, in the first 12 hours after death, our body is going to cool at the rate of about 0.8 degrees Celsius per hour. And then after that, the body cools at about 0.4 degrees Celsius per hour. And again, this is going to happen until the body reaches the same temperature as the surroundings. Now, again, we say that these rates are an estimate and can vary. That is true. You know, clothing, activity, body size can all play a role. But again, you got to keep in mind that for the most part, this is just one piece of the puzzle. As we'll see kind of in the coming days, that we might combine Algor Mortis rate with rigor mortis information or the liver mortis, the discoloring information to get a better PMI. That this is just part of it. So let's try some of these together. So again, some things to keep in mind as we do this. Remember, our standard body temperature is going to be 37 degrees Celsius. Again, I like to use Celsius in this. And there's really kind of two types of problems that we have. We have problem A, where our PMI is less than 12 hours, and this one is going to be a little bit easier to solve. So to recognize that we're going to have a PMI under 12 hours, the measured body temperature should be greater than or equal to 27.4 degrees Celsius. And again, little extra information here. What I did to get that information or to get that number of 27.4, you're like, well, how do I know if it's under 12 hours if the temperature is greater than 27.4? Well, 12 hours, a 12-hour PMI times that initial cooling rate of 0.8 Celsius gets me an answer of 9.6. When I subtract that from the average temperature at death, I get that 27.4 numbers. So again, the estimate is it's going to take about 12 hours to get to that temperature of 24.7 degrees Celsius. So what we do is we subtract our measured body temperature from 37, we divide by that cooling rate, and that's going to give us our PMI. If we have a PMI greater than 12 hours, which again, the estimate's not going to be as reliable as a shorter PMI, the body temperature is going to be lower than that 27.4 degrees. Because again, it takes right about 12 hours for that body temperature to reach 27.4 Celsius. So what we do is we subtract our measured temperature from 27.4, divide by that second cooling rate, and then we got to add 12 hours. Again, we'll work some of these together. Let's try number one together here. So number one says to determine the approximate time of death using our evidence from Algor Mortis. Approximately how long has the victim been dead if his body temperature was 37.1 degrees Celsius? Okay. Again, we need to recognize whether it's an A problem or a B problem. Is the PMI less than 12 hours or greater than 12? So we look at his measured body temperature, and it was 33.1 degrees Celsius. Okay, that would be type A. That is greater than 27.4, so we know it's going to be less than 12 hours. So we use A, and what we're going to do is take that measured body temperature, normal body temperature of 37, and we're going to subtract that measured temperature of 33.1 degrees Celsius. So 37 minus 33.1, and we get 3.9 degrees was the change. And then we divide it by our cooling rate to get hours. So we divide that by 0.8, and we're going to have that estimate of, I guess I could leave it in decimal form, it really doesn't matter, of about 4.88, which is really probably closer to 5 hours for our PMI. So again, just kind of how I did that. First, I need to figure out what type of problem it is. Short PMI of less than 12 or longer PMI of greater than 12. So I look at my measured body temperature. My measured body temperature was 33.1 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's greater than 27.4, so it's a type A problem. So I take my body temperature that we measured, subtract it from 37. So 37 minus that 33.1 tells us how much the body temperature changed. But again, I'm looking for hours here. So I divide by that cooling rate of 0.8. And then that gives me my final answer of about 5 hours. Don't worry, I'll do some more like this. Follow-up question asks, a body found outside in the winter has a temperature of 33.1 degrees Celsius. Has the body been dead a longer or shorter time? Well, as I think about this, outside, what that's probably going to do, it's colder outside, so that would probably speed this up. My guess is if the body was found outside in the winter, it should be a shorter PMI, or less than that 5 hours, because that temperature loss is going to occur faster. But let's maybe focus more on calculations. Okay, so number 3. Approximately how long has the victim been dead if his body temperature was 25.9 degrees Celsius? Okay, let me look at that. First, I need to figure out what type of problem it is. Is it short or long? So I look at my measured body temperature. The measured body temperature was 25.9 degrees Celsius. Oh, that is going to be less than my 27.4. So that tells me it's going to be greater than 12 hours here. So more than 12 hours have passed. Okay, so I'm going to figure out how much more it's been since 12 hours. So what we do, again, it's kind of similar, but now I'm going to use that 27.4 degrees, because again, that's about the temperature at 12 hours. And I'm going to subtract my measured temperature of 25.9 degrees Celsius. So again, if the temperature is under 27.4, I subtract it from 27.4. And I get 1.5 degrees Celsius. That's how much my body's cooled. And then I divide it by the cooling rate of what's after 12 hours divided by 0.4. Because again, I'm figuring out, by doing it this way, I'm figuring out how many more hours past 12 hours it's been. And I get an answer of 3.75 hours. But again, that's after 12, so I have to go back and add that 12 back in there. And I would have my PMI of 15.75 hours, or roughly about 16 hours since death. So again, I've done an A problem and a B problem, where it's very similar approach. It's just you got to recognize what is that measured body temperature to know which way to solve it. But let me do some more in here for you. Number 4. What is the approximate time of death if the body temperature was 15.6 degrees Celsius? So again, let's figure out what sort of problem we have. That measured temperature is what? It should be, is it over or under 27.4? Looks like it is under 27.4. So that means it's longer than 12 hours. So let's figure this out. So again, if it's under 27.4, I take my 27.4 degrees. I'm going to subtract that measured temperature. Because again, what I'm trying to figure out is how many more hours past that initial 12 it's been. So 27.4 minus 15.6. I get 11.8 degrees as the temperature change of the body. And then I divide it by the slower rate of 0.4 degrees per hour. And it took about 29.5 hours to go from 27.4 to 15.6. But again, we can't forget there's that initial 12 hours to get down to 27.4. So my final answer would be about 41.5 hours. All right, I might do one or two more for you. I think I might skip number 5. I think we kind of know what that should be like. I'll let you kind of try that out on your own. But maybe I'll put the math there for you off to the side, or maybe I'll just kind of put the answer to see if you did it right. So what I might encourage you to do with this video is to pause it and try it out, see if you can get the answer, see if it's right. Okay, so hopefully unpause now, because here comes the work. So again, my initial temperature is less than that, 27.4 degrees. So I know it's going to be longer than 12 hours. So I do my subtraction. I take that measured temperature of 10, subtract it from 27.4, and then I divide by my cooling rate. But again, I'm just trying to figure out how much it takes past that initial 12 hours. And I have to add 12 to my final answer. So I should get about 55.5. And then let me do maybe number 6 here, just one more. Look at that body temperature, 29.4. Again, think about how we might solve this. Maybe pause the video. See if you can do it. All right, here I go. The measured temperature is greater than 27.4, so this tells us it was less than 12 hours. So I just subtract from 37 this time, and I get a 7.6 degree change. But again, I want hours, so now I have to divide that by the higher cooling rate that occur in the first 12 hours. And I'd have my estimated PMI of about 9.5 hours. All right, let's see what you can do on the rest of this.